listening to Under the Umbrella podcast. Each week, we'll discuss various topics under the umbrella of the LGBTQ community. And I'm your host, Angel. Hey everyone, welcome to an episode of Under the Umbrella podcast. I am your host, Angel, and on today's episode, I will be speaking with Eva Azenaro Acero, and we will be discussing non-binary identity. Eva is a non-binary trans illustrator, artist, and storyteller currently located in the Los Angeles area. Ever since he was a child, he loved drawing, painting, animating. If it had anything to do with visual art, he was in. For the last 4 years, he's worked as an editorial artist for the Rumpus magazine, focusing on their Voices on Addiction series. He published his first full-length graphic novel on Tiny Death, which was debuted at the Chicago Alternative Comics Expo in 2019. And he's currently developing a new graphic novel for publication in 21-22. Most recently, he's worked as a colorist animator and storyboard artist on multiple projects, all slated for release in the new year. When he's not drawing, he loves writing, reading, and taking naps with his cat, Sasha. So sweet. I cannot wait to talk to you, Eva. With no further ado, let's get to it. Hi, Eva. Welcome to an episode of Under the Umbrella podcast. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I know we've been cutting up behind the scenes. I was asking Eva how to pronounce his name because I kept saying Eva, but he said that he was fine with either or. But I try my hardest to pronounce people's names the way that they like. So if I chop it up, please. I mean, well, I promise.
I know you are all good. Don't worry.
Okay, thank you. So to get straight to our points, I wanted to ask you if you would please explain what non-binary means for those who may not know or understand that term.
Okay, so again, like I'm only speaking from my understanding and my experience.
Absolutely.
So I do want to say that like I've met people that non-binary means something different too. So the way that I've been, I don't know, like I know people, especially when you're talking about like the trans umbrella term, there's a lot of like gender non-conforming and gender fluid, and there's different words that people use that all kind of lead into the minutia of gender identity. So I can only speak for myself.
Yeah.
But for me, non-binary has kind of been like a beyond the gender to a certain extent. So there's like being trans as part of like, I don't know, I really like that you can use language to really suit your needs as a trans and queer person. So when I say non-binary, I don't identify as male or female. But sometimes I do identify as male. Female for me has been off the table for a long time.
Okay.
But I find my gender identity fluid and somewhat outside the bounds of at least our current societal expectations.
Gotcha. I think overall that's what I've gathered from whenever I hear that. But anytime I'm asking people, these questions, I said it to Ian on an episode with him, Transgender Understanding, and he made sure he said that first, like, this is my understanding, this is from my point of view. And I'm like, I thought that went without saying. So again, I thought it went without saying, but again, this is your point of view from it. But that's how I've grown to understand it as well. But I may have somebody on who tell me something totally different, and I'm like, okay.
I mean, we're all learning at the same time. You know what I mean? I think there's like this pressure for people once they identify outside of cisgender and heteronormative that they're like have to know everything, and that's not the case, because I mean we all spend our time trying to understand who we are, and gender is fluid and it changes. So it's like, I don't know, I just want to respect what other people are going through, but it's like for me that's what non-binary is, and that's why I hold it so close.
Gotcha. Yeah, I find myself when I talk to people about just this whole podcast and talking about all the different terms. And the main thing that I said, and I feel like I need to say it where people can hear me on this microphone and on camera, is that everything that we have ever learned about gender, about sexuality, is not that black and white. It's really not. You know, you have all this textbook stuff, and you know, I was born 1980, and you're talking about 40 years later. Just a lot has changed in um, what scientists and whatnot are learning about sexuality, and especially sexuality, but again with gender. So for me, that helps me at least have that much of an open mind and a open approach it with an open heart space, so that I am making sure I hold space for you and that I am understanding, you know, where it is you're coming from, you know, because I don't have all the answers, and I hate for people to assume because I'm bisexual I know everything under the LGBTQ umbrella. I do not, you know, and I cannot stress that enough. I do not. That is as many reasons why I wanted to create this podcast, but that is one of the reasons, so I can continue to learn myself, you know.
Yeah,
I just truly feel like you can never learn enough, no matter what the subject is. You can never learn enough or too much.
I think once you think that you are able to be an expert about everything, that's when you've lost track, because if you're not open to learning and new things, then what comes next? You think you've reached the end of the line, but it's actually a lot broader and there's still so much to learn. Like, I try my best to be at least open to other ideas, you know what I mean?
That is so real. That is, I've found myself, this is totally off the subject, but like thinking about self-care. And I find myself like, I think I get to this destination with it. Like, I've done ABCD, and it's like, no, baby girl, that is a journey. You know, it's not a race, it's a marathon. Enjoy every freaking second of it. You know, there's no destination to that. You should always be taking care of yourself. So I agree with that when it comes to learning. Like, there's no destination to that. And the destination is when you're being buried. You know?
We all end up in the same place. What do you do until you get there?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh my gosh. I adore you already.
I'm good at one-liners. That's it. It just like stops.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so my next question for you is that many people do not understand a person transitioning their gender and being gay. Will you explain it from your point of view?
Being gay and transitioning?
Yes. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So I think part of that, again, has to do with language. For me, I identified as bisexual for a long time while I was figuring out my identity, because I wasn't sure where I was going. I wasn't sure what I wanted. I've had relationships with men and women and people who are gender nonconforming, and I wanted to like simultaneously be respectful of who I may date in the future and who I was with currently. But I kind of realized as I went along that not only did I have a preference, but like, because I'm non-binary, I didn't have to hold on to a gender, and I don't have to hold on to a sexuality either, which was kind of wild to realize, I think, because I've always been someone that likes having labels. I like having answers. I like knowing what's coming next and being able to say, I am XYZ. So it's been a bit of a learning curve, but for me, saying I'm gay has been mostly a statement of I'm not a straight person. I am not heterosexual. I'm not a lesbian because I don't identify as a woman. So I'm also not homosexual, but gay has just like been that perfect, right down the middle kind of word that I've been holding on to.
Gotcha.
And so now that I've finally accepted it, because there's so much doubt that goes on as you're like living your life. And I'm right now in a kind of conservative town, and I grew up in a conservative town too. So there's always that like, shut it down, put it away. And so finally just saying, you know what, gay is good for me. That's good. That's been really helpful for me.
Wow. That's powerful. That really is. Wow. Love your personality. We were cutting up before we started recording, so I just adore you. You are so sweet. You're so sweet, and I'll get through the questions first, and then I'll get back to what I was about to say. Just how we crossed paths.
Yeah.
So you once mentioned to me that your gender identity is all kinds of nuts, and I think you've kind of touched on that. But why? Will you explain why that is?
I think like it's, to say the least, I think a lot of the outside world has influenced how I thought I had to be as a non-binary person. I think my gender, as I oscillate between masculine and feminine, I like to think of myself, at least recently, as more of like a femboy kind of, because I love, makeup. I love like feminine colors and feminine ideals and stuff like that are all obviously very
what society has deemed as feminine and masculine, like pink purples versus the blues, and gotcha.
Exactly. And so it's like I thought that I had to be hyper masculine in order to be accepted by the community, and then I thought I had to transition fully to be part of the community. And as I'm getting older, I'm just realizing that like my gender can be whatever I want. I can present however I want. It doesn't take any of that away from me, because I don't know, like I think especially when you're in your early like college years and stuff, there's just like overstimulation. There's so much information that's rushing in, and there's so many different kinds of people that you're around all of a sudden that you're like grasping at straws of what feels right. And it takes a little while for that to kind of settle. And I didn't really feel comfortable, at least maybe until a few months ago, with saying like I can enjoy feminine and masculine attributes. I don't have to completely commit in order to be seen as valid as a queer person, as a non-binary person in the community.
Absolutely. Wow, absolutely. That's something I'm still waiting to try to figure out how I want to address that. Like, not saying that you've experienced hate, but I know that there is hate within the LGBTQ community.
Yeah. There's a lot of gatekeeping.
Yes. And I think I've said this before in another episode, or it may have I have a lot of sidebar conversations, but I know at one point it was a lot of hate towards bisexuals, but I think it's safe to say the transgender community gets the bulk of that now. I think it's safe to say that. And it's stupid.
Basically, honestly, it's just stupid.
It just is. I don't feel like trying to search for big words when it comes to all this stuff. It's just a lot of stuff. It's just stupid as hell. It's stupid.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, society as a whole does not embrace us entirely. And then to have hate on top of that within the community is it's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, and it's like no matter what, like whiteness is always the correct way to be XYZ. So it's like when trans and gender nonconforming folks don't fit this like non-binary idea of, where you're like white and kind of femme and, skinny, androgynous, and they're like, oh, well, you can't possibly be non-binary. But non-binary looks a lot of different ways because it's outside of the gender binary in general. So it's like breaking down those stereotypes is a really, I think you'd think it's like a constant conversation with other people, but I actually think it's very internal and it's ongoing, because it's like, what makes me happy? What have people told me will make me happy? That will make me acceptable, and what actually brings me like a gender euphoria as opposed to dysphoria. I don't know, that's just been my experience, but like, the more I've been willing to talk with myself about what makes me feel accepted by myself, the better I've been able to interact with other people, because I don't feel like I'm pretending or trying to fit into some box.
Yeah, people that are hateful, they're just projecting their BS on to other people. Because at the end of the day, it's so important that we love and accept ourselves. And I know that's not that easy for a lot of people. I know that. I'm not crazy. I've been there. I've done that. It takes a lot of loving on yourself, especially if you were raised to always take care of everybody else. You forget, or you don't know how to take care of yourself and love yourself.
That's so true.
Yeah. So that is important, that we have to learn to focus on ourselves and the love that we the love and the love that we give other people and the way that we talk to other people. If you're loving and giving to your best friend, you should be giving that to yourself tenfold. Like,
yeah,
real. Yeah.
No,
So
I completely agree.
Yeah, I'm glad that you're doing that for yourself, because you deserve that. Yes.
You do what you can, you know what I mean? But it's like, as much as quarantine has been difficult, it's also given me a lot of time. And I'm very fortunate to have that time to really reflect and really just like sit down with myself and be like, what makes you happy? There's no one around to really judge you and see what you want. There's no one to tell you that you're good enough or that you could be doing more. And so just being like left on my own, at least in that respect, has like, I'm still working, but it's like, I don't feel that same weird pressure of like, lower your voice. You can bind on this day and not this day, because it's just me.
Yeah.
That's it. And my cat, but she really doesn't care.
Okay. Oh, well, you so funny. So okay, this question I have been. I remember when I saw this question, I'm like, what? Or it wasn't. Well, it was my. I'm asking the question, but it was something that you said that made me ask. That's making me want to ask this question. So let me ask the question, and then please take your time to explain, because I'm like, okay, but we were like, get to the damn question. So, what does it mean that you are white, passing person of color?
So, my mom is first gen Sicilian. My dad is my dad's an immigrant from Colombia.
Okay.
So he came here.
And
my mom was born like as soon as her parents got off the boat. So I have this proximity to immigration that is, I think, a little bit different. And the thing is, as I'm sure you can tell, I don't have really dark skin. Like when I'm outside for a long time, like obviously I tan a lot faster. I have really dark hair, I have dark eyes and dark brows and stuff. And that comes from my father, but I don't experience racism the way that he does.
Okay, I got you. So is your dad more dark complected?
Yes, very much so. And so a lot of my experience when I was a kid was very, like, I was next to whatever was going on. So, for example, when I was little, we moved around a lot when I was a kid. And we spent a lot of time in North Carolina in the early 2000s. So it was not great, to say the least. And I have so many memories of being pulled over with my dad because he was driving, and I was just a kid. And at the time, and in that space, I was considered a lot closer to brown because of how I looked. Because if you look at like the population of North Carolina, especially at the time, it was very, very, very white. Anyone who wasn't super white was automatically othered. Like my mom has light skin, but they thought she was somebody else too. So once you're othered, like I just have so many memories of my dad being pulled over by cops, of doing U-turns so that we wouldn't have to deal with cops. You know, my dad's been arrested. There's been like stuff has happened and he hasn't done anything. And there's been a lot, like he carries his passport with him. He carries his papers always. because things happen. And I feel like I am always right there when this is happening. And so I carry this extra layer of disdain and fear of cops that comes from the proximity, but it's not directly based in my experience, you know?
Yes, all of that makes total sense now. Because I did so we crossed paths. Let me say this part first. We crossed paths on Instagram because I'm building my Instagram page, and I remember, I can't remember if one of us inboxed the other one first, and we were talking about the podcast, and so you were telling me your story, and I'm like, holy shit. Like, I literally did not know how to handle any of it because the way you put it in my inbox, I'm like, oh, this is a lot. This is a lot. And I no lie, I felt a little intimidated, and nothing much intimidates this one here. I swear to you. But I was like, okay. That's why I kept messaging you. I haven't forgot about you. I haven't forgot about you. And then that's when I'm like, it's time. It is time for you to reach out. Because I didn't even know your name. I just knew your Instagram name. I didn't know her name. Or his name. I'm sorry. Excuse me. I didn't know his name. And I'm like, it's time. Like, I want to talk. I want to know. I want to understand your story, especially a white passing person of color. And I'm like, I guess it didn't dawn on me, but the more you've said, because your mom is Sicilian and your dad is Colombian. That makes a lot of sense. So to our society, especially in the U.S., if somebody were just to look at you, you just look like a white person. But you are a person of color. And with that being said, I've seen it a lot, especially like with some Hispanics and Latinos, and I know it's so many different denominations, and I don't want to mess anything up by saying anybody's ethnicity wrong, but just that population, I noticed, just like Black people, there's so many different skin tones. And I've noticed with like a lot of Latina people, especially Latinas, the more white they look, they're okay with passing as a white person, but you are a person of color. I don't give a damn how white your skin is. You are a person of color. Embrace that shit.
And I think it's just very interesting to note how quickly we know whiteness in all of the world is closest to being worthy, being seen, just like obvious bullshit. Sorry.
No, please don't apologize. You're fine. Oh my gosh, I cuss like a sailor all the time. You're fine.
Okay.
Do you, honey?
But I think it's interesting how quickly other ethnicities want to run towards whiteness as some kind of protection. Because it's like the closer you are to being lighter skinned, the more accepted you are by society as a whole. And I mean, everybody wants acceptance. And it's on so many levels that like it goes beyond, I think, accepting yourself. It's like, how does the world see you? How is the world going to interact with you? What fears do you carry with you? How worthy are you seen of being a person? And it's like, it hurts me to see Latinx folks chasing so hard after whiteness, but still feeling that they can parade around their non-whiteness as an excuse for racist behavior. Because it doesn't, not only does it not compute for me, but it's like, if you look at Latin America, there is still serious racial divides between white passing Latinx and Afro-Latinx folks.
Yeah.
Like, this division goes all the way down.
Oh yeah, it goes deep. I've learned that from talking to people. This is one of the reasons why I tell people it is so important to travel the world. Don't just go to different states here in our country, because racism is everywhere. it is everywhere. And when I found out, I think it was my wife who had told me she worked with this lady. I think the lady was from Australia. And just because her skin tone was slightly darker than her family, she was considered black and she was mistreated. But if you saw the woman, she clearly in our country would just be considered a white woman,
Yeah.
And I was like, really? And she even said how horrible their coworkers treated her and everything. And I'm like, what in the hell is wrong with people? But I see you see it all the time. See, this is the thing though. And of course you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but see, you don't have your name on your Instagram page, one. So when you sent me your name and I'm like, that looks Hispanic, and then you know what I mean? And so had I at least seen that and read that and paid attention to that, that would have made more sense to me because I was like, what is going on? But all of it after explaining that and that makes complete and utter that makes so much sense. It does. Like, and what I was about to say also was in like Hollywood, I remember seeing this meme and it was a meme of like is it South America or no, South Asia. So some South Asians, some Indian people, and it was another race of people. But they showed, like in Hollywood, you always see, like if you see all the Indian movies, all the Bollywood and stuff, they always show the lighter skin people. Even in movies, you see mostly, if you see black people, it's mostly light complected people versus dark complected people. And it was like a split screen saying like all these darker people, these people were of the same race, but they never get exposure on TV.
Right.
And I was like, that is so, like, I love beautiful dark complected skin. I just do. Like my son is I call him my little chocolate drop. He's so chocolate. Yeah, he is, and so handsome. I just have a soft spot for dark skinned people. I just think their skin is just beautiful. They are beautiful, and I hate how society tries to make them feel like they're less than. I have a lot of family members who are dark complected, and they're gorgeous, all of them, male or female. I don't care what their gender is. They are beautiful to me, and I hate how society tries to make people of color feel like they're less than. That's not okay. That's so not okay. So to know that you've seen that firsthand, especially dealing with the police and the never-ending climate, it seems, with the police and police brutality against people of color. I that just breaks my heart that you've experienced that you've seen that. That's heartbreaking.
I remember really when I was little, because my parents are lovely people and they never had any kind of discussion with me that I was different in any way. So I didn't think anything was different about me at all. But especially when I was younger, I had like pitch black hair, like just and so I remember I was at school and the kid that I had trouble obviously fitting in with people because I wasn't brown enough and I wasn't white enough. And I just felt so confused and I was I didn't know what was going on. I remember one kid made fun of me because my eyes were black.
Oh wow.
And I do this, I still do this where like if somebody's rude or whatever, I'm like, oh man, that really hurts, and then I just keep doing whatever I'm doing. So it like almost affects me, and then I'm like, I'm gonna keep going. And I remember coming home and I was like, Mom, am I mixed? Like I had no idea. And she was like, yeah, did you not know that? Like I just assumed, you know what I mean? Because I've been raised, and I think also being an artist might help with this, of like I notice differences in folks no matter what, because I'm always thinking of how I could draw and how I could put anything down onto paper. I've never, that whole shit about being like, I don't see color. Like, no, you're just racist, but it's fine.
Don't get me started. Oh, don't get me started. I worked with somebody like that. And
it's exhausting. And it's like with that in mind, the difference as I got older and we moved all over. So I've lived in like a lot of different kinds of places. And I noticed that when I was friends with darker complexioned people, we got more shit. And it's like, and I learned it just from being around my dad, from being out in the world. As a very young kid, you learn it.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I want to be aware as I can of my white passing identity, because I know if I'm by myself, as much as I'm perceived as a woman, which is already its own issue,
yeah,
that's still a different danger. And it's still a different experience.
Yeah.
But like, I also know what happens. I've seen things happen. I've had to do things, and it's like, I want to respect where I come from, but also how much easier it is for me to move around in the world.
That's deep.
Thank you.
I'm glad that you know that, though, because some people, you especially if you start using the term white privilege. I'm so tired of saying this, but it's such a trigger for so many people, and it's like, it's true.
People are like, privilege, they hear the word privilege and they think it means that their struggles don't matter. Yeah. But it's completely different. It's like, if you start off on a race and you just run the track, that's the privilege, because you don't have to deal with stuff in your way. You don't have to deal with like random stuff to jump over. I'm not athletic, in case I haven't made this clear. And like, there's no obstacles for you. Yeah. So it's like, you don't have to think about certain issues, and you don't have to think about how to make yourself more presentable or acceptable to the world. Like my dad taught me, don't put your hood up. And it's like, it's not, but at this point I know I don't have to worry about it the same way that he does. Yeah. But I learned it. So it's like in my head, so I'm aware. And it's like, I feel as though as a result, it's kind of my job, because I'm white passing, to educate other people, because they'll like accept me faster. And I'm like, okay, cool. I got some resources. Let's go into it.
You know what? And most of the people I think that I've had on, I love you all for that, because all of you have made sure, if you have anybody who is being disrespectful or just being ignorant, and I mean that in this truest context, you immediately educate people. And I love that. I really love it, and I appreciate that. I respect every single one of you for that. Heather, Steph, Ian, Mars, you. I appreciate you all for that. I really do. I love that about you all. Because some people will just they would let the conversations happen and they wouldn't say anything, or they'll send me an inbox and I'm like, what the hell you want me to do? You were there. I can't fight everybody's damn battles. I had to learn that the hard way. No,
and picking those are so hard. But the only thing I can ever really say is, it's like, if your skin is darker, if your identity is more marginalized, then you don't have to explain yourself. Yeah. It's my job to do that work. Like, everybody else just live. I will do the work. I just, I hate when people try and push the work of educating and explaining like why you should deserve to live and expect that to fall on each individual person. It's like, I don't know how to explain to you that you should care about other people, but I have the space that's given to me because I'm white passing to take on that role. So it's like, I'll do the job then.
And I appreciate you. I hope everybody that sees this and hears this appreciates you as well, because I see that's what it takes. That's what it takes. And I a lot of my friends who just so happen to be white, I see them quite often on Facebook, on Instagram, using their privilege to educate. And I appreciate all of them for that, because it's like, if I say it, it doesn't make sense. I'm looked at as me just complaining, or, oh, that's not real. And it's like, it's exhausting. Not saying it's not exhausting for you all, But it's just exhausting. Like, why don't you get it?
Yeah, it's like one thing to have to explain stuff, but it's another to have to live it.
Yeah.
Like, you shouldn't have to do both.
Right.
I don't know, that just seems like a lot of work.
A smidge. Just a smidge.
And I mean, there are certain topics that I can't handle. Same. I can't handle immigration. ICE, the detention centers, these concentration camps is really triggering for me. And it's frightening. Yeah, my family's all in another country.
Oh, wow.
My dad came here with his family, didn't speak any English. So it frightens me. It makes it really difficult for me to engage with content that's like, look what else is happening here. Look what else. Look at this. Because it's like, I know. Yeah. And it makes me fear for my family and for the people I love and care about. And so it took a while for me to understand that I have to leave some work to other people that can take that. Yeah. So because I just personally, I can say some stuff, but I can't put myself in that hyper educational position because it is too close to home for me. It is too personal. I do live it. Like I can't emotionally, like I can read up on stuff and I can educate myself, but it's like I already kind of knew some of this shit was happening. And so now it's just more known on a national scale, and I can't do that work. Not the same way. Yeah. No, that totally makes sense, which is I think one of the reasons why that is a perfect example why I hate hearing people say all lives matter, because when you have I know oof. You all have to go to his Instagram. I feel like you know what I'd say anyway, so. Yes, it's Birdlets, Birdlets. Please go follow him. Please, please, please. And that facial expression, if you're watching on YouTube, you will know why that that facial expression just happened. But if you truly believe all lives matter, why is it that when you hear these horrible stories of people who are being torn apart from their families and shipped back, oh my gosh, you hear these horrible stories, to talk about it makes me so mad and it makes me sad, but you don't say anything about that. You don't utter a word. But then turn around and say all lives matter. How? Yeah. How? When it's like, explain that to me. If all lives really matter, then we wouldn't have this disproportionate amount of violence against Black and brown folks. We wouldn't if every life really did matter. You know what I mean? Like when people get into the whole like thin blue line stuff like that, it's like, okay, but you can take off your uniform at the end of the day. Yes. I can't be straight at the end of the day. I can't like. You sure? Because some people think you just pop a pill and it goes away. I'll just tie my hair and be like, okay, here we go. It's like, I think that's not really acknowledged as part of identity. It's like, you choose to be a cop. You choose to be in law enforcement. You choose to be a part of these systems that are inherently racist. I gotta walk around. My friends have to walk around. Yeah. We didn't ask for anything. Yeah. I have no argument. Oh, I not don't. I'm fine. So I know you told me that you didn't have anything that you wanted to talk about as far as your business ventures. You sure you don't want to talk about your illustrations? Because like I need people to go follow you. I mean, I want people to follow me too, but I need you all to go follow this page, because every time when I'm on Instagram and I see, your logo up there, and I know that you posted something on your Insta story, I'm just like, oh my God, like I just love you. I appreciate you so much. Activism is an understatement. Oh my gosh. I'm honestly, I feel like I'm just at a 10 at all times.
Yeah.
And they're like, you could like take a nap. I'm like, no, we're gonna keep going. But I mean, like, in terms of my work, I do think that this kind of, my childhood, my experience has influenced it greatly.
Yeah.
Like, the work I make is all based in my understanding of the world. And like, I've had, some not great experiences, but I don't want them to define my work. And what I've found is that as I continue making these comics that are obviously deeply personal, but I try not to put, XYZ happened to me. This was the exact narrative. It's more based in the core emotions that take place during those experiences. I found that people really, really relate to them. That's how I have gained a following, is through people saying, I can see myself in this. Yeah. And my hope is that as I keep going, I can use my art to help, heal people and bring people together in a way that I didn't have when I was a kid.
I love that.
I think it's like, how do I say it? So a lot of the work I do for like freelance stuff is NDA, so I can't actually talk about it.
Oh, really?
That's mostly the thing. Is I do a lot of animation storyboarding as a freelance artist, and those things are kept tight under wraps until they come out. And when they come out, then I can be like, I worked on this and this, and like da 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 da.
Oh yeah, I respect that. I respect that big time. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like when it comes more to my personal work, like the book I'm writing now, which I can only kind of talk about, but like still I'm excited, so it's fine. I'm just really excited to make the kind of story I wish I'd had. Because I don't know, being like especially being non-binary and queer and not having any words for that, you just feel so alone. Even if you're surrounded by people who love you. You always feel like there's something was wrong, something like you didn't fit into not even a mold, but just like there's this space for you and you can't fit it.
Oh wow.
So it's like, for me, when I make work, I'm trying to do I think subconsciously to some extent, do some kind of like reparenting where I'm like, it's okay, to a younger me, to the me that was surrounded by kids who turned out to be queer, of course, because, we're just drawn to each other.
Yeah, the healing, that's always important. Heal that inner child. Yeah. Oh,
and if there could be someone in this generation, because, I also grew up in the 2010s where queer baiting was a big thing in media. So you chase a lot of like queer stories and writers act as though it's going to go somewhere, and then it just stops. And they're like, oh, we weren't actually going to do that.
Yeah.
We weren't actually going to have these two characters get together. We weren't actually going to fulfill this idea of queerness.
Yes,
and you're left like, wait, am I lying? Is something wrong with me? Should I not ever see this through to the end?
My wife says that all the time. Yep. She says that all the time. She hates, especially TV shows where they have a same-sex couple. And I didn't pay some of this. We don't watch all the same stuff, but I started paying attention once if it was something I was watching, there was a same-sex couple, and if you pay attention, 9 times out of 10, they break up, they end up cheating with the opposite sex, almost implying that, they weren't really attracted to the same sex. And yes, she talks that makes her so mad. Yeah, and yeah, and it's like, what? Why can't they be together? Like I don't think I've ever seen a show that had a same-sex couple where that couple stayed together.
It's really hard to find.
Life. Yeah, lived a happy life. It's always drama.
Yeah, because it's just always questioning the validity of non-straightness, or like straight people can have whatever drama because it's going to be okay, or that worst case they're going to end up with a person that is right. And for the queer community, I think it's more as though you get tastes of what you could have.
Yes.
You get you get queer coding in villains, so then you're automatically from a child made to think that there's something wrong with it. And as you get older and you engage with media and you start to think, well, maybe those two characters are together, and you're just told again and again that the story doesn't work, the happiness doesn't come, you're not gonna be okay. And I really needed that. I needed to know it was gonna be okay.
Yeah.
And there's definitely more representation now, but like it's so hard. And it's like, I want it to be easy to find. I want it to be accessible.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to dig to find, the secret queer fantasy where I'm like, oh, whoa, it's me. I can engage. It's okay not to identify as a man or a woman. It's okay to be gay. Like, just to have it out there. So someone could be like, oh, I'm looking to read a new book. I'm looking to read a graphic novel, and they'd find it. And it would just be what they needed. And just the feeling of peace you get when you finally, I remember, I don't know if you've ever watched Avatar, the animated show.
Oh no, not the anime. I'm thinking about the movie. What was the movie? Was it Avatar, the movie? With
they're both called the same.
Oh, okay. I've seen the movie, not the animation.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I don't really remember the movie. I think I saw it at some point. But I'm a huge animation person. I love animated stuff always. And I remember when I was 17, and two main characters in that show turned out to be bisexual. And they got together, and I lost my mind. I was like, yes, they got together. Oh my God. Like, I didn't imagine anything I saw. I didn't miss something. I was just kind of like in the back of my head, like, I wonder, I'm probably wrong. And boom, there it was, the proof. And I flipped out. And apparently that's how my mom knew I was gay, because I started shrieking. I was like, they got together. Oh my God. And she's like, all right. I didn't come out for years after that, but she's like, oh no, I've known.
I've known. It's okay. Oh my gosh. It has been a pleasure speaking to you, Eva. I really appreciate you being on. When you have projects that are being released after, the whole hush moment passes, if it ever passes, and after you release your book, please come back on to talk about it. I would love to have you back on and talk about it.
Yeah, I love that. This has been so fun. I was super nervous, but now I'm like, whew.
Oh, good. Oh my gosh. So I don't get as nervous as I used to when I first started, because at one point I would have to light an incense to just set the mood and take some deep breaths, and every once in a while I have to do that. But no, you were awesome. You all, seriously, please go follow. You want to say Eva?
You can say either. It's fine by me.
Okay.
Eva's fine. Most people will say that anyways, and I'm not like offended or anything by it.
And so, but Eva.
It's Eva.
Ava.
Help me. It's hard. I'm
sorry. Help me.
So it's kind of the mix between Ava and Eva. So it's just like there's like a slight tilt in the word. Mm-hmm. So you just say Eva. But there's a reason I say Eva, you know what I mean? Like, I totally get it. It's not an easy thing. It takes a minute to learn it.
I know, but I'm gonna try. I'm gonna practice Eva.
That's fine too.
Oh God.
I'm sorry. It's so minute. That's why I don't freak out about it or something, because it's not that big a deal. I
do, and I just I love. So do you consider even though I know you mentioned the whole white thing, do you consider yourself like Hispanic, or what would it be for you? Because I know people always want to call people with names that look like yours. They always want to just call them Mexican, and I'm like, oh my God, everybody.
Like, your racism Mexican. Is showing.
Hey, please stop calling everybody fucking Mexican. Oh my God.
It's a big area. It's a continent. Let it, I promise there's more there.
trying to be very mindful of that. I don't want to just assume your name is his. I'm trying to be very mindful because I say Hispanic because I think that's the politically correct thing to say. But if it's not, please correct me. But the culture, I fucking love it. I love it. I love it. I love the food. I love everything about the culture, the spirituality. I love it. I really do love it. But I'm still trying to make sure I'm being correct in,
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope we're all, like I said earlier, like we're all trying to figure it out. I identify as Latinx because it's such a big part of my identity to the, like, it's literally like half and half. I'm straight down the middle. And my mom, while she is white, is like straight Italian. So it's like Italian food, and then we got like arepas, and that's it. You know what I mean? Like, it's like just two cultures, and that's it. There's no Midwestern white stuff in there, Like, I've never had casserole, you know what I mean?
The shade, my God. Holy shit.
I exposed myself. Oh my God.
Listen, I was born and raised in the Midwest. I lived there my entire life until I moved to the West Coast. So casseroles, that shit is real. And every time I would see it, I'm like, what? I would tell my friends, what is with y'all in these fucking casseroles?
They put anything in there. Why?
Oh my gosh. I remember the first time I had a tuna casserole. I'm like, this don't sound right. It looks nasty. It was good. Whoever it was I had, I can't remember. But it was good. But no, I understand. I love Italian food. I love see, now I'm gonna say Mexican food. You said Latina. Is that the same food? See, now I'm gonna have you on here for like an hour or two.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
So I'm half Colombian.
Right.
I use Latinx because it's, again, like Latin American.
Okay.
So that's how I use it. But if someone asks, I'm like, I'm half Colombian. You know what I mean? Like, I'm very proud of it.
Respect the culture. Absolutely. Gotcha. Okay. I'm just making sure I'm being correct, because again, I don't have all the damn answers, and I don't mind being corrected as long, some people get offended and want to go off on you, and it's like, no, I'm ignorant right now. Like, please teach me.
Yeah, and it only takes a second. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can be like, actually, it's this, and you can be open to it and adjust accordingly, or you can be a big meathead and not. Sorry.
No, you're fine. I really appreciate you being on. I'm just gonna say Eva, because I feel like I'm just gonna keep butchering your name, and you've already given me permission several times to say Eva.
Totally.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad I moved out of my own way to reach out to you, to talk to you, and share just a tiny bit of your life with the world, because the world is listening.
About to hear me yell about a casserole. I'm sorry.
No, look at me flipping my hair. I'm proud of myself. I'm like, people are literally listening to me all around the world. Like, I am super proud of that. But thank you so much for sharing your story. I appreciate that. And I mean it. When you're done with your book and it's released, I would love to have you back on for you to promote it. I really would.
That'd be fun. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. I've been following this since it was just starting, and It's so exciting to see how quickly this podcast has grown and how like big your group of listeners is now. It's just like, congratulations. Because I think in the internet, it's so hard to make a name for yourself, and you've done it not only quickly but just so efficiently.
Oh, thank you so much. I sometimes I'm sitting at my desk doing stuff, and I'm like, I'm a bad bitch. Damn.
Yes. Yes, that's
and I mean that
utmost respect. I'm just, like all the skills that I've ever had and the ones that I just added and taught myself, I downplayed them for decade, over at least a decade. I really did. I downplayed my skills, and I won't ever do that again. I won't ever do that again.
Because look what happens when you utilize them.
Yes. Oh my gosh. But I appreciate you for following the podcast since day one. I know you have been, and I appreciate you. Oh my gosh, like nobody's business. And I really hope one day we can like meet in person and I'm able to give you a big hug and again just tell you thank you in person. I really do hope that that comes true soon.
As soon as COVID's over, I'm gonna come over.
Oh my gosh, yes. But thank you again. You are a beautiful person. Don't let anybody tell you anything different. Please don't. And you are doing amazing things. You all follow him on Instagram, Birdlets, Birdlets, and especially watch those Insta stories. You are a beast.
I'm like,
yeah, a lot of work being done, especially for us that are Black, for real. And I appreciate you.
I do what I can on the internet because I never leave the internet anyways, so.
No, I mean, I know some people talk about the whole Twitter fingers and people just doing stuff from their home, but you can raise money just from sitting in your home to help educate or help somebody with whatever, especially in the trans community. A lot of people having different surgeries. You can do that from your home, But I'm so serious. Thank you so much. I cannot thank you enough.
Thank you, Angel. This is so awesome. I'm very pleased.
Yeah, me too. I am. It's been a blessing to have you on. Thank you so much for being a guest on my podcast. And I look forward to having you back on. I want to hear about this book.
I have some plans. It's going well so far.
Good. Glad to hear that. Well, you take care. Thank you for being on, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Oh. It was truly a pleasure speaking with you, Eva. Thank you for being a guest. I'm truly honored that you have been listening to my show since day one. That just warms my heart beyond words. It really does. Thank you so much for your love and support with my project, and I cannot wait to continue supporting you and yours. Again, when you get your book released and any projects that you're working on, if you want to talk about them and promote them here, please come back. I don't mind having you back on. But as you all go about your day, please know that you are loved, you are supported, you are enough, and you are worthy. Thanks for tuning in. Take care. Thanks for joining us on Under the Umbrella podcast. Check us out on Instagram at UT Umbrella, on Facebook at 1UT Umbrella. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Under the Umbrella, and visit our website at utumbrella.com. As always, subscribe to the show to catch every new episode, and leave a review so we can continue to bring you fresh content. If you had a question to submit for the Ask Angel segment, please submit to contact@utumbrella.com. See you next week.